Hey everyone, welcome to another hot take. This one, I can't believe I have to defend these guys, but I have to defend cats because there was a report out from Fox News that someone's saying that making the main character of Cats white is whitewashing the character. Well, that's not true. Here's why. The main character in Cats, if you look at her, look at the still images from Broadway, she did have different makeup. She was played mostly, I think, all by white women in previous incarnations. And the current movie character is played by a black woman who has pretty light skin. So people are saying, well, it should be her same skin color. The problem with that is most cats aren't really skin color unless you count that one cat that has no fur. And the skin color of a fair complexion black woman probably wouldn't look like fur on a cat. It would look slightly weird if it was fur, that color. Cats that aren't black or white are usually calico, and then there's all sorts of mixes, right? So you got these oranges, and you could have picked something like the color scheme of the Broadway show, let's say. Now, why didn't they go with that? Well, because lighting and color is different when you're watching it live than when you're watching it on a movie. At the Broadway show, if you look at the stills, you'll notice that the main character has white makeup down the center, and then it goes out and it gets darker. That's to draw the audience's eyes up to the face. Because in Broadway, you have to project and you have to draw everybody into the performers because they're watching it from the seats and looking up on a stage. So there's also lighting cues in a Broadway show. So if I don't want to see the other characters that basically had similar makeup styles, I just lower the lights and they stand in the darkness while the main character goes on and on. But in the movie, it's different, okay? You can't do lighting cues in a movie. It looks weird. It looks like you're shooting a Broadway show. And I guarantee you, the first thing they did when they sat down to do the pre-production on this thing, it was like, how can we not make this look like a Broadway show? Because you might as well just point the cameras at the stage and just broadcast the musical play. So they didn't want to do that. They don't want to do the musical play for the movie. They need another look. So your main character, the color scheme. Why did they pick all white for, I believe her name's Jemima, and then they changed it for the American version to something else? Why did they make her all white? Well, because white stands out. It also goes with her character. Her character's bright and energetic and happy and positive, and we associate light colors with that. So white, being the brightest color of all, seems appropriate. And it's a cat color. It's a fur cat color. You can have cats that are all white. People have seen them. They call them Snowball or whatever. Now, you might say, well, why don't they go with another cat color like all black? It's because black sinks into the background. And you'd be looking at all the other brightly lit characters except the main character. And you don't want that for the movie. You want to be looking at Jemima because she's the main character. Now, if you go with calico, it's possible, but then you're going to have to make every other character darker in order for her to pop. And you don't want that either. And calico is a pretty common color. And if you go to one end of the spectrum like white, you now have all the other colors available to you to make the other characters and do the costume design. So this is an aesthetic choice. It has nothing to do with race. The idea that cats have race is insane. They don't. And these characters are supposed to be cats. I mean, that's the name of the play. It's called Cats. So this isn't whitewashing. This has nothing to do with race. As usual, this is just clickbait. I'm not putting the links to these things because I don't want you to give them a single click on this. Don't search for it. Just trust me. Or if you see it on like Fox News or whatever, just don't click the article. Because I'll tell you what's going to happen. Remember the days when The Daily Show would find some conservative in some backwater burg and interview him and make fun of him? Well, this is what Fox is going to eventually do to Twitter. They'll find some reactionary idiot who's outraged about something like this, and then they'll do an entire article on it because it gets people outraged and it gets them clicks. For all I know, this entire thing is just fake, done by a fake account or done by somebody on Twitter who's of zero consequence. This isn't a real thing. Probably isn't. But the fact that people continue to look at this stuff as real requires people like me to say, no, don't go down that path because it's not real. It's an aesthetic choice that the movie makers made because bright, happy, positive characters tend to have bright color schemes. Batman has a dark color scheme because he's dark and broody. And his opponent, the Joker, he's a clown and he's got all kinds of bright colors, and that's the contrast. It's all about contrast. And you might say, well, why don't they just go with the Broadway look? They could, but it would be more confusing in a movie where you're seeing everything sort of close up, as opposed to a play when you're seeing the stage and the lights and there's more nuance and subtlety, seeing things live. They're crafting an image for this movie. They're crafting, they chose white specifically for the character because that aesthetically makes sense. And you'll notice there are plenty of other black actors and characters who are darker, and they've got darker fur and darker makeup because they're probably playing more brooding characters or as dark as Broadway gets. I can't believe I just defended cats, but there you go. That's my hot take.